bienvenidos, me llamo Darren. So, estudio español para 8 años en la escuela, pero necesito practicar mucho. My team told me I could not practice on the stage, though, so this is going to be in English for the rest of the time, all right? So I just want to let you know if I can meet you afterwards, would love to practice my Spanish with you. As Margot said, my name is Darren Morey. I have the opportunity, in my opinion, to have one of the best jobs in show business at the moment, and that is I get to wake up every single morning, meet with founders and builders, funders, corporate organizations like yourselves, but I get to stand at the perimeter of Alphabet with DeepMind by my side, with Google Cloud by my side, with search, with ads, and we find ourselves at a very, very unique moment where we think we can provide a really systemic approach to helping startups do really interesting things. And that's what we're largely going to be focused on over the course of the day today. That's a weird AI-generated video of me that my wife, it really freaks her out, by the way. She's like, there's something strange about it. So here's what I want to do in the short time that we have together. We're going to be talking about, as Margot said, speed, development, bringing products to market quickly, building businesses quickly. But we are going to focus on what I think is one of the most dangerous terms in AI at the moment, and that is agents. So we'll talk a little bit about what we think that means, and also understanding there's a lot of different folks from different backgrounds here in the room. I'm going to keep from going too technically deep, but also touch on a few key concepts that I hope will resonate with you. Before I do so, I do just want to quickly call out what we heard from Maria and the speakers at the beginning. I do have the opportunity to do events and programs and panels all over the world. I had the opportunity to work with a previous cloud company, an online book company that has a big cloud computing business for quite some time here in EMEA. And I was able to spend time in Madrid, in Barcelona, in Malaga. But there's something special and unique about what's happening at the South Summit. I know you feel it. I've felt it for the last couple days. There's a sense of connectivity. And at a time where a lot of events, and frankly, a lot of the world is about what makes us different, what I find is really what makes us the same in this room is we're all seeking to build really interesting things quickly. We're trying to build jobs, trying to drive revenue. And so no matter your background, no matter your perspective or bias, we can all share in that today. And I'm hoping, again, to share a few themes that you will also find to be important. So when we think about unicorns, there's a couple of key things that I would share. So one, speed has always mattered if you're an entrepreneur. You can see the gray hair that I have, and so just take that to say that I've lived through a few technology innovations, meaning I was at Microsoft in the early days of us getting companies to agree to deploy personal computers, believe it or not, and use something called Active Directory in the early days of transitioning companies from mainframes to client server. I also was able to live through the formation of 3-tier web architectures, which many of you know and remember, and the introduction of virtualization, this concept of extrapolating the application from the underlying infrastructure. I then had this chance to move over into cloud, which was very infrastructure focused for a long time, and then here at Google have really been able to enjoy a more data, analytics, developer, and now AI-focused environment. And the reason why that's important is because speed matters to you, and the iterations of change that we're seeing in technology have never been faster than what we're seeing in AI at the moment. AI is a fancy term. It means a lot of things to a lot of us in the room, but the thing we do know, and the data is showing this, is that organizations that are building in an AI-centric way are getting to MVP, getting to product, and getting to first dollar of revenue faster than the previous generation of startups. And by the way, we thought cloud-based startups were moving very quickly compared to pre-cloud. That has no comparison to the speed at which we're seeing organizations move today. And so let's talk a little bit about speed. Now, I'm not a physicist, you should know that, but I will tell you that what I know to be true is when there is resistance against what you're trying to do, when there's friction in the gears or in the machine, that friction creates heat and slows you down. And so when we're thinking about all of the experiences that we're seeing across builders and founders globally, we're seeing that complexity obviously is a significant contributor to startups not being able to move as quickly as they may have wanted to move or could move. And so as a part of that, here's a few things that we're really seeing that I would want to call out. One, in the beginning of this AI trend, and in the beginning means 16, 18, 20 months ago, we saw startups and builders really focusing at an infrastructure or a model level, right? A lot of organizations were saying, we're going to build the next GPT. We're going to build the next Gemini. There's still a good amount of model development going on, especially in highly regulated use cases, as we heard a moment ago, or highly verticalized use cases. But our impression at the moment is that really the large models that are going to drive a lot of the AI innovation probably exist today. And so there's a focus up above that model. We have this concept inside Google where the chip manufacturers, there may be a handful, there's going to be a number of model manufacturers, but there's going to be thousands and thousands of applications and agents being built from folks like you in this room. Now, this concept of complexity is where it comes in and where I wanted to center a lot of our time today. So if you are a startup, if you're a builder, and you're thinking of building an agentic product, the thing that I would ask you to think about are a few things. One, vibe coding an agent is very cool. How many of you, by the way, are vibe coding using Claude or another platform, Lovable, Cursor? There's a bunch of hands. If you don't know what that is, come to me or someone with your hand up later, because you got to know what vibe coding is and you got to know how to vibe code some agents. And let me be clear, we're a big believer in vibe coding. I think we've never seen the amount of creativity coming from that space. But if you're a startup building a product that you're going to be selling to highly regulated European enterprises or Latin American enterprises or North American enterprises, you have to think about the development of that agent and that agentic platform the same way you would think about a sophisticated enterprise application development cycle. And we're finding that that's not happening enough at the moment, meaning people are confusing quickly vibe coding something cool to have productivity in your inbox or to create an interesting chat capability for a customer. But you've got to make sure you don't take that same swift vibe coding, kind of easy agent thinking into the agentic perspective. What startup founders are telling me, in fact, I heard this yesterday in some meetings that we had in the city, was that at times, founders are saying, we feel like we're system integrators. We feel like we know we need to build something impressive and comprehensive. It needs to have operational rigor. It needs to be secure and meet regulatory requirements. But how am I supposed to work across all of the providers that come to bear to help me be successful? How do I work at a chip and an infrastructure level, select the right model, work across agentic platforms? And this is a key point of friction that we're seeing in the ecosystem at the moment. I want to share a couple of perspectives on some things that I'd ask you to keep in mind. And obviously, you know I'm from Google, so I'm going to take this opportunity to share with you what it is that we're seeking to do to help you move as quickly as possible. Some of the organizations that are moving extremely quickly, I'm going to talk about some European logos here in a moment, are represented in some of these stats. So on one hand, for those of you that have known Google and Alphabet for some time, we've always been a very data and developer-focused organization. We love people that put their hands on keyboards and build things. And we're seeing that already from 13 million active users of Gemini. That number's outdated as I'm standing here on the stage. When we know that 9 of the top 10 AI labs are leveraging Google, Google Cloud, Alphabet, and DeepMind to build their infrastructure and build their models. And then lastly, the fact that the vast majority of generative AI unicorns are working with us technically, working with us from a strategy and a go-to-market perspective, it gives us the ability to look for signals in this noise. And as I said, I want to share some of those signals with you, specifically around agents. Now, these are brands that many of you may know. These are organizations from their early days leaned in with Google and our team to ask interesting technology questions to make sure that, again, they weren't trying to operate as a system integrator. They were asking for help in stitching together what we would call a vertically integrated but flexible and open stack of technologies. 11 Labs, fascinating company, I'm sure many of you know, out of Poland, is doing incredible things in AI content, specifically AI voice technology. And then Magnifique, Tinybird, Photo Room, all really, really proud Spanish startups that are leveraging us, again, not just for the technology components that we provide, but also some of the capability that we can provide in helping them go to market. The reason why I share these specific examples is because I think when you're going through change like we all are, it's easy to stay in the theoretical and in the hypothetical. We've got to base ourselves back into where we're actually seeing design patterns and principle-based thinking so that we can validate that what we're talking about has some validity to it. And these 4 very strong European examples are 4 really good points that show that what we're doing is actually generating fruit. Now, as I said a moment ago, I just realized there's magic cards all over the stage here myself, so I won't trip on those. What I want to make sure and we talk about for a moment is, great, Darren, you say that agents are the important thing. We need to treat agents as enterprise applications. Doing agents the right way can be hard. And Darren, you're saying, hey, as a 1, 7, 20-person company, we shouldn't operate as a system integrator. Well, what we have been working on actually for a long, long time, much earlier than the actual excitement around AI, is creating this vertically integrated open stack of technologies. And what we mean by that is an underlying capability at a chip and an infrastructure level where NVIDIA and GPUs, which is an incredible partner of ours, can partner very much with our own chipset, which is called a TPU. Many of you may know we're on our 8th generation of TPUs. We've been working on AI-optimized chips for over a decade. But for us to be able to come to you as builders or as ecosystem partners or as corporations and say, you actually have choice in designing your underlying chips is an important differentiator and a decision that you should be making. As you click up the stack, the model really matters. And by the way, we don't live in a world where we believe that one company is going to rely on one model. We know that multiple models, whether it be our own from DeepMind, whether it be Anthropic or OpenAI, we're all creating breakneck pace of innovations, and we expect you to probably use 1, 2, or even 3. So we have to create a platform for you that you can integrate those third-party models and Google's model into that vertically integrated stack. And as you go up the stack, you have an agentic platform, you have Google Cloud from a data, security, operations, and control perspective. And that's important at the moment, because when you are building a company, we are currently the only technology company that can come to you to say, we have this differentiated capability. Every other provider, all great technology companies are going to ask you to be a system integrator. Some of the other, I would say, hyperscaler clouds that we've been used to working with for quite some time have inadvertently become resellers of other people's AI technology. And so if you want first-party AI, but you want a vertically integrated stack, working with a company like Google is an important decision to make and can help you reduce that friction that can help you move even more quickly. Now, I mentioned models. DeepMind for us, as many of you may know, I don't know if you knew that DeepMind is headquartered in London. If you knew that, raise your hand. Okay, only a few. A lot of people think DeepMind is a San Francisco-based part of Google. Demis, who founded DeepMind, you may know this, refused to transfer himself and his company to San Francisco. So yes, we're headquartered in San Francisco. DeepMind is in London. And DeepMind is by far a really critical aspect of what we're building, right? Not only Gemini, but VO and all of our multimodal models that we're developing are coming out of DeepMind. And I'm going to end here in a moment with a bit of a glimpse into how DeepMind is thinking and ask you to maybe adopt this as well. The important point around DeepMind, if I'm a builder, if I'm in your shoes, is having the ability to work directly with an AI research organization that actually uses their models across properties like Google Search, Google Ads, Google Cloud, YouTube. These are models that when you have the opportunity to integrate them into your agents, they've already been battle tested across billions of users, which is, again, a very interesting and differentiated value proposition. Sometimes you want to experiment, and we'd love to experiment and get you early access to models. But sometimes, in a highly regulated vertical industry, you likely don't want to deploy an agent on a model that hasn't been battle tested. So our ability to integrate and bring DeepMind into our engagements with you is a very, very important differentiated and value add for each of us. Last thing before I begin to wrap up is I said that Alphabet has always had DNA around the developer. We've recently re-released a new capability that we call anti-gravity. And the reason why we're calling it anti-gravity, again, not a physicist, is in order to reach escape velocity, the amount of force and speed that you need to break out of orbit, you have to think differently. And we believe this anti-gravity capability that we're providing you is exactly how to do that. So imagine a world where as you're building these agents and these products, you're able to have one place in that vertically integrated stack where you can actually build agents who then go build other agents on your behalf. Or imagine building data agents that are able to actively manage your data pipelines behind the scenes without you having to invest significant human capital to do so. Imagine even infrastructure agents that are a part of anti-gravity, that are constantly health checking your underlying environment, and again, without any human intervention, are taking action on your behalf. And lastly, but definitely, I would say most importantly, are security and privacy agents. All of us have been reading the news. We're very aware of some very exciting agents that have recently been released that are going to tell us all about the thousands of vulnerabilities that we have in our software. It's been interesting to see not only the opportunity, but the fear that some of those releases have taken. Now, what I'll say is it's great to release a model to tell you what's broken. It's wonderful to release a model and agents that identifies what's broken, but then takes action to help you resolve those issues. So, as a result, I want to make sure, as I'm being told to wrap up, that I close out on a couple of key things. First and foremost, we have a go-to-market motion inside Google where we can connect you into thousands of enterprises that are actively seeking to consume the agents that you're building. We have $460 billion of enterprise backlog. That means enterprises around the world have signed contracts with Google to spend $460 billion. Now, what we want to do is to help identify who in this room are building incredible agents that meet business requirements, and how do we plug you into those enterprise customers who guarantee absolutely have the issues and the concerns that you're facing on a daily basis. Also, being systems thinkers, we have to think beyond the technology. You have to think about the ecosystem, as we're seeing here in South Summit. Please feel free to grab this QR code, come to our booth, or talk to me. In addition to incredible technology, we want to help make sure that we're providing you some sort of credit and economic assistance. We're going to provide you technical and engineering assistance, especially early on, to make the right decisions for you. We're going to give you additional benefits and discounts on other products, as well as with some of our partners, which we call our Perk program. And you're going to see NVIDIA and Databricks and a lot of really interesting companies that want to be a part of the startup community that are here in this room, and the startup community that Google has been a part of for some time. So scan this QR code to make sure that we're not only working with you technically, but we're working with you from a program perspective. Now, before I get grabbed off this stage, I want to end with this. In 1912, little history lesson, I don't know if you're aware that Spain created the world's first electronic chess machine. Now, you also may know that Demis and DeepMind came out of gaming. In fact, Demis was a world champion at chess. But 16 years ago, in the early days of DeepMind, Demis and his team created a new AI algorithm called AlphaGo. Go, as many of you may know, is a strategy and complex game that's been around for thousands of years. And we perfected that model to then ultimately, in a very public forum, compete with the world champion of Go. I want to play this quick video, and then we'll wrap up.
AlphaGo said there was a 1 in 10,000 probability that move 37 would have been played by a human player. So it knew that this was an extremely unlikely move. It went beyond its human guide, and it came up with something new and creative and different.
I want to see Lee Sedol when he sees this move.
He's back, Lee is back.
알파고는 실은 뭐 확률적 계산을 하고 그냥 이기기 위한 그런 머신에 불과하다고 생각을 했었는데 그 수를 보는 순간 아니구나. 충분히 알파고도 창의적이다. 정말 아름답고 바둑의 그런 아름다움을 잘 표현한 수고 굉장히 창의적인 수였다.
This move is very special because with this move, all the stone played before is work together. It's connect. It looks like a network, link everywhere. It's very special.
So the reason why I wanted to end with that is, one, great connection back to the gaming history in Spain, but more importantly, it's important that we all remember that even in AlphaGo, move 37, which was called a shoulder hit, was initially thought to be a mathematical exercise. And it was only after AlphaGo made that move that people reflected on that decision, and they saw that it was creative, it was beautiful, it was unexpected. No one thought that any machine or any decision maker would make that sort of decision. And so I would challenge you, the same way we challenge ourselves inside Google, to say, what is your 37th move? It's time for you to make a bold decision that is not understood, that may be questioned, but is also beautifully creative, and something that after the fact we will reflect on and have great appreciation for. We want to be the company to help you get there. So I look forward to seeing you today and tomorrow. Come by the booth, and thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.